Good morning and welcome back to Sun Up on 7. In case you missed it, just before the break, we were joined by Charisse in San Pedro giving us an interview with the special envoy of Barbados. And now, keeping with the best month, March, we are here now joined with Ms. Lurleen Betson-Gamboa and Ms. Nadira Ross, who are education officers in the Early Childhood Education Unit. We'll be talking about Child Stimulation Month under the theme, We Are Strong, Learning and Growing, and also talking to us about a new campaign which is launching. So good morning to both of you. How are you doing this morning besides bright up the colors this morning?
Yes, hi, good morning, and thanks for having us. And as you rightly said, this is the best month because we celebrate not only Women's Month, but definitely Child Stimulation Month in March.
It's a good month, you know? I don't say the best, but it's a good month, you know?
Yes,
it's a good month.
No,
It's a good month.
Nadira, it's a good month, but it's the best. We
It's
know
the
it.
best month.
Thank you very much.
Anyways, getting into our conversation, I think what I really want to talk about to begin it off is people hear about Women's Month, you know, we could say, okay, I understand why we celebrate about Women's Month, but when we look at Child Stimulation Month, I don't think we know the history and the importance as to why we even have a Child Stimulation Month. So if you could briefly just go into, you know, why did we get to this point that we need to have a month and celebrate our children?
Okay, what is important to know, I'll share with you a little bit about the history, is that we have been celebrating Child Stimulation Month in March since 1984, so we go all the way back. What we have been doing since 1984, we have been having small gatherings of children doing activities and so forth, and then eventually we evolved to this huge parade that would normally happen on March 1st, which I'm sure people are familiar with.
Right.
But since the pandemic, we kind of took a step back and then we realized, you know what? The pandemic actually was a good thing for us because it made us analyze what was happening. So while we look at March as celebrating the children in preschool, or 3 and or 4-year-olds, we must also be cognizant of the fact that, you know what? We do have children that are not accessing preschool centers.
Right.
So as a ministry, we took a step back and we decided, you know what? We need to start targeting these preschoolers that are not accessing. So we looked at the Belize Sector Strategy Plan, which was for 2021 to 2025. 25, thank you. 2025, which basically is telling us that, you know what, we have a decline. We have a drop in our 3 and our 4-year-olds who are actually going to school. And that decline was by 1.8% in 2015, between 2015 and 2019. With the pandemic, of course, we went even lower.
Right.
So if you look at the numbers that we're looking at for the preliminary figures for 2020, our preschoolers dropped by 33%.
Wow.
Which is huge because you have to remember that preschool isn't mandatory.
Yeah.
So we send our preschool or 3 or 4-year-old if we want. So what we're doing as a ministry is to try to promote what is early childhood education. What does that entail? Because a lot of times parents may think they send their preschoolers to play. That's all they do, but it's much more than play.
Right.
Right? And like going and piggybacking on what Lurleen is saying, it's more than just sending your child to preschool, right? That the foundation, we know the window period for brain development and all of that happens between birth to 5. 90% of your brain is developed by the age of 5. So just let that soak in. Let that marinate.
You can't marinate as good because your mama was young, so you can't soak it to the 90%. But you know, I know what you mean.
But my point that I'm trying to make is that the crucial years for development happens there.
Right.
That's the foundation. And if that solid foundation is not laid, then what happens for lifelong learning after that? You know? So we want to get our children back into preschool. That figure that Lurleen spoke about, we definitely want to get 33% out and get it at a higher percentage in terms of enrollment, in terms of access. So we can't do that alone. Whenever we talk about Child Stimulation Month, we often refer to a triangle where you have the child, the parent, and the teacher. that triangle cannot happen if the three parties are not involved.
Right.
That's true.
Right?
It can't be the child that wants to go and in the future, supports, but then the parents out or something
Exactly.
along the way. We have to be able to have all these parties together. I want to ask because it's so important to know that parents do have that choice to see where they can go, but if parents don't know necessarily what are the available preschools, like what do we have in Belize that people can access? How many schools do we have that are like, how many preschools do we have?
Currently, we have 215 preschools countrywide. Belize and Cayo having the largest number of preschools. We have 5,384 preschoolers accessing.
Wow.
Previously, we had 7,000 plus.
Oh, wow.
So the
huge
decline.
market there.
There's a gap,
Yeah,
big gap.
exactly. So we want to get those figures way beyond 8,000 children accessing, because if you compare the figures with the preschool age children using the census, the SIB census, we definitely have a lot of children not accessing, and mostly it's the 3-year-olds that are not accessing preschool. We have the 4-year-olds, even though it's a 2-year program.
Yeah.
Most parents tend to hold on to their 3-year-olds. That's my baby is not ready. And, we want to get them out of that mindset and understand that, it's 2 years, 3, 4, and then they matriculate and go on into primary school. But we want them to understand the importance of sending your child to preschool, not only at the age of 4, but from they are 3 years old, because they're ready, they're little sponges. So they want to soak
They
up
would be
everything.
so excited to go to school to
Right.
see all of their classmates and have that experience because teacher, that idea that they just love that.
And I mean, the aspect of socialization at that point
Very, very
plays
important.
a very, very important role as well. And in terms of that, the decline, I could see probably it happening because a lot of parents are afraid during that time of sending their child to school because of COVID. Can you talk a bit more about that and how you plan to curb that now that we're rounding off the end of this pandemic?
So I know, sorry, just to add to that,
Yeah.
I know that I think that's going to be included in the education campaign. So
Yeah?
now I know
Okay.
that based on the stats that you have, that 33, that's a big number. And so to now see, looking at all the stats and see that we definitely have work to do, including the COVID. And so how has the education campaign, what is the education campaign going to be putting forward for parents to know about?
Okay, so I think one of the main thrusts of the campaign is to get parents to really understand what is preschool. And so if I could wrap that up in a sentence, I would say when a child enters preschool or goes to preschool, it helps that child to ignite and nurture the curiosity of wanting to learn, wanting to know. Now imagine our 2 or 3 and our 4-year-olds. They're at that stage where they ask a lot of questions, they touch, they do a lot of things. So imagine a child who accesses a preschool center, it lights that fire, but it also guides them in this is the way we're going to learn. Yes, we do it through play, because research has shown that that's the way that young children learn, through play. So they may be playing, they may be doing a lot of activities, but they are learning. Versus that of a child who stays at home and just plays for play's sake. So that is one of the main messages we want to get out to parents. Yes, preschool centers, we play, but we play where we do targeted play where they're learning. So the campaign that we're looking at, earlier I told you that what we normally do in March is this huge activity where we celebrate those who are attending preschools already. But because of the population that we have, which is 74.3% out of school,
Wow.
74.3% out of school,
That is astounding.
we, as a ministry, we are taking a different direction, and we say, yes, we're going to celebrate those in school, but we want to do even more. So what we're doing is we're launching a campaign, and what this campaign is going to do is to target children in different areas. So we have 3 and 4-year-olds that are not accessing the preschool centers and getting them into those centers.
Okay.
And one of the activities that we're going to do is, like Ms. Ross said, we can't do it without our partners. So we partner with Ministry of Health, Ministry of Human Development, and UNICEF, and other partners as well. And so we are going to have like clinic visits. So when parents take their child to the clinic, we have PSAs, we have public service announcements running, telling them about, okay, This is what happens in preschool. This is why you need to send your child to preschool. Just giving them that information. So flooding the world with information in regards to early childhood development. So that's one way we're targeting them. We are going to target daycares because we do have 3 and 4-year-olds in our daycares, but not
They're
accessing
accessing
our
preschool.
preschool centers.
Right.
That is going to be twofold in the sense that we're going to train daycare providers to stimulate. So in case a parent doesn't want to move the child from daycare into a center, they're still getting that stimulation at the center.
Okay.
We're
Perfect.
also going to be doing training sessions with parents, getting them to come in. Bring your
Child.
child to school, which reminds me, we have the team for this month, which is
We are strong.
Learning and growing. Period.
I love it, Renee.
Exclamation mark.
Exclamation mark. Okay.
yes. So that's the team for the month of March. But for the campaign now, the team for the campaign is Start Smart, Register Your Child Today. Because remember, that's the end product that we want. We
Okay.
want our children to flood the centers that exist already. So I spoke about the clinic days, I spoke about daycare centers, and
the
we also
pop-ups-
have pop-up
pop-ups.
centers.
So with the pop-ups now, we want to, everything that we're doing is honing in on the children who are not accessing. So we have pockets, we have areas in our country where we don't have a preschool center, but we do have children of preschool age, and they might not be accessing for various reasons, socioeconomic factors, things that are beyond their little control.
Yeah.
They can't control that. So we will target those areas where there are no preschool centers and do a pop-up. They're not going to be getting the full-on preschool experience, but that stimulation, any stimulation at all, triggers things that fires in your brain and gets them ready for, when I actually go to preschool, rather than just being sitting at home, not doing anything, but taking that into communities where there are no preschool centers and children of preschool age is a campaign strategy that we have to ensure that we meet that target of increasing or taking that 74.3% down
Yes, please.
and getting that 33% up.
Right.
Perfect.
Yes.
And in terms of, I'm thinking of a something here where, how do you guys go about locating children who are not in preschool or not a part of your facilities? Because I know that a lot of parents might say, you know what, nah, my child isn't coming out and whatever. How do you guys go about?
Like Lurleen mentioned, we can't do it alone. We have
Okay.
partners. So we know that Ministry of Health deals with pregnant mothers, deals
Okay.
with mothers who have young children, and so they access services before they access the education
Okay.
service.
Okay.
We have our partner Human Development, again, which deals with women, young children, families. So we partner together, that collaboration is there, and so we work through that network, and we all try to send the same message when it comes to getting your child ready, having them enroll in preschool, and also working along with them and having the parent understand the importance of child development.
Most definitely.
And what you, the parent, the role that you play in that entire process.
I think that's super, super important, and I'm loving this campaign. As we're wrapping up this segment, I want to ask, is there any last words that you'd want to give to the parents, to the teachers? Just give the population any final comments that you'd like to give to just solidify the point of how important it is to bring our children and stimulate them back into society, allow them to go into preschools, or whatever message you'd like to give?
I think for me, it would be the fact that I really want to register with parents that by the time a child reaches 5 years old, 90% of the brain has already been developed, which only will leave you with 10% if you wait until that child is 5 to take him or her to primary school.
Yeah.
So you have to start early. That start early is starting smart at our preschool centers.
All right.
And for me, that early start smart begins at home.
Yes.
It begins at home. You don't have to have expensive toys. You don't have to have all the highfalutin things at home, but your environment at home is a learning environment.
Yes.
So parents understand your job is an important one. Before the child leaves home and goes to any educational facility, your job is very important. Your job is the one that starts the ball rolling. So
That's true.
I see the calendar rolling about as we're wrapping up. I just have this final question. I see the calendar rolling about. Where can they access that calendar, and where can people find general information as to, okay, well, here's a facility that I could send my child to that is around me? Is there anywhere that...
it would be on the ministry's website.
Okay, sure.
And for the respective districts, we have an officer in each district who champions the cause.
Okay, great.
And so for the districts, you can contact your district education center and speak with the persons from the district education centers and get the pertinent information that you would need.
All
And
right.
quickly, we cannot leave here without talking about what happens today, because today is March 1st, launching the opening of Child Simulation Month. At 10:30, preschoolers countrywide will be planting a tree to signify
Our
they're
team.
learning to grow, to signify the team that they're
Aw.
strong, learning, and growing. So 10:30, every single preschooler will
That
be
is
engaged.
so
That touched me.
If you guys have any videos, please send that in.
We
for us
will,
because
we
we
will,
wanna
we will, we will
show
be
that
sharing.
tomorrow. That is
Yeah.
so cute. Love it. Oh
Yeah.
my,
And
I'm stimulated right
Yes.
now.
And we also want to encourage media houses to stop in and take some videos, promote
Definitely.
the entire idea, because we also have national storytelling competition for teachers that will be taking
Festival
place.
of Art.
So there are several different activities happening.
You
Awesome,
convinced
so-
it?
Huh?
You convinced it?
I convinced a long time.
March to the best one. Thank you
Not,
very
not,
much.
not that it's that's the best part. I'm convinced that this is an amazing movement. Not your March month. But anyways, with that, we go to our next commercial break. When we're back, we're going to be speaking about the fact that 10% cut, I know one must say happy about that. Anyways, 10% cut is no longer cut. We get it back, guys. Hello. And so we'll be talking to Mr. Dean Flowers, who is the president of the Public Service Union, about what's happening on the grounds with that decision. So stay tuned for that conversation. We'll be right back.